Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. So if you're here, say hello. So I've got Diane. Hey, Steve. Just say hello. Let me know where you're from. Would love to just take a couple minutes and say hello to all these amazing people that are out there. So today we're going to talk about living through chaos. Sasha. Hey, Sasha. And I think this is a great topic to cover. I think you all will agree, right? During COVID. So yesterday we spoke about the things you don't want that occupy your mind. And if we focus on the things that we don't want, we see more of those things that we don't want in our life, right? So we definitely don't want that. If you have a pretty good idea of what it is that you want, that's great. But if you're unsure of what it is that you do want, please reach out to your success advisor because that's why they're there. It is really difficult. It was really difficult for me to figure out what I wanted, what the heart of me wanted. And that's because we live a life always doing what is, expected of us, right? Doing what is expected of us, being what is expected of us. So now we're being asked, what do you want? And it almost seems selfish, but it's not selfish. It's so, so necessary, right? You just like in a plane, right? You must place the mask over your mouth first before you can place the mask on someone else's, right? What good are you to others if you are not strong? So this is what this is. So figure out what it is that you want. So once you connect to what it is that you want, you now need that strength to stay connected to what you want, right? So especially during times when you're surrounded by more pain, more fear, more doubt, more uncertainty. And what is that strength you need, you think? What is it that will help you overcome that fear for more? Well, the opposite of fear is faith. See, both fear and faith require you to believe in something you cannot see. But a lot of people are choosing to see fear. And every day you get to choose what it is that you want to see. So you choose either to have faith in a knowing that you cannot see, right? And create the life you want to make your dreams a reality. Or you choose to live in fear, like believing the news, believing the neighbors, right? I even heard a neighbor the other day and others that keep circulating a lot of the bad. Remember, everything has good and bad. But notice that the majority are circulating the bad right now. They are only connected to the bad. That's why COVID is by far more difficult to handle because there are more people circulating the bad more than ever, right? And then we bring this negative energy into our homes. It's unconsciously impacting many or family, regardless if they try hard to avoid it. It's challenging for most. And they allow this fear to influence their lives and their decisions. And they end up doing less. Because there's a perfect science here that are not taught in traditional schools. When you are operating from a place of fear, you become paralyzed. You cannot create from a place of fear. You cannot connect to the very ideas you want from a place of fear. Therefore, fear forces you to play small. So playing small is not what we are built to do. So we cannot feel great. It's impossible for us to feel great. We can convince ourselves, right? Maybe others, that we do feel great staying where we are, but our energy speaks louder than words. So you're unconsciously forcing yourself to play small, and it goes against human nature. Therefore, you will feel longing and discontent. So what happens when you feel longing and discontent? This triggers a need for your happy hormones. And hear me out, because this was wow for me. This triggers a need in you for happy hormones. You want to feel happy. And the decision to emotional eat triggers those happy hormones. Before the food even enters your mouth, you have triggered the happy hormones you desperately crave. Most of the time, it's not the food you crave. It's the happy hormones you continuously get from making the decision to eat the food. Remember, you made the decision to eat the food, right? You haven't eaten the food yet, right? Let's order pizza, yay, right? You get the happy hormones flooding your body. That is what you're addicted to. But if you are unaware, you will keep thinking the problem is the food, right? Just like a lot of the fitness and weight loss out there, they're so focused on your body, the food, all that. It's not the problem. It's the mindset. The problem is those negative emotions you have bottled up inside of you. That's what's causing the problem in the first place. And we will talk more about these happy hormones tomorrow when I discuss the psychology behind emotional eating so that you can have food freedom. Food freedom. So don't miss tomorrow. But today, it's really important for you to understand that to have faith, it's not something people know how to do naturally. I did not know. Well, I didn't know from religion, just like many of you, but truthfully, just like most of you, we are taught to fear more with our actions than to have faith in what we do, right? I had to unlearn the fear and relearn how to live life whereby faith in the unknown was controlling me, not the fear of the unknown. So I really want to talk about how you can shift from fear to faith. You may or may not realize you're in a place of fear right now. Many don't even realize it. But the amazing news is that you can move over to a place of faith quite easily once you understand what fear really means. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, all right, I'm going to get Heidi here to cover important details for us.
What great content. Oh my gosh, this is such great information. It's one of my favorite days. So again, if you do not have your workbook, let us know by commenting below right now, because there are some really, really good questions in there to really get you thinking. You know, when you answer the questions, well, like you can think about them, right? But it's not until you write them down that really gets you to think differently. And, you know, Bob always says that 2% of the population thinks, 3% of the population thinks they think, and 95% of the population would rather die than think. So get that workbook out, right? So that voice in your mind that says, nah, you don't need to write that down. That voice is what is forcing you to stay exactly where you are, forcing you not to think. Look, I want more people to see their true potential, but I can't do the work for you. So if you really want to apply this knowledge, we want you to really get into that deep level thinking. We don't want to just be doing the surface level thinking. That's the people that think they're thinking, right? They watch a few Bob Proctor videos and they think they have it all figured out, right? And that right there, my friends, that is where the fitness industry is right now. Believe me, I've been there long enough. They think they understand. They think they understand. But that's what's blocking them from achieving their full potential, because they cannot do it for themselves. And so they're not helping their clients to achieve the same. So these questions in the workbook, they're designed to take you along a journey, right? Where you can build upon your thinking. So if you haven't gotten this workbook, and you got to take a look at it, it's really cool. It's so beautiful. I love it. You got to get your eyes on this and you got to take a look and you got to start answering some questions. So if you don't have it yet, reach out to your success advisor because they'll get that workbook to you. It does come in your email. So once you register for the workshop, it comes in your email. So a lot of times it might go to your junk mail, your spam mail. So check there first, okay? But if you can't find it, if you're having trouble, just ask your success advisor. And if you don't know who your success advisor is yet, just post below. Say, I don't know who my success advisor is. We have an amazing staff and team that we will help find your success advisor. So no worries. We'll get y'all hooked up. And each one of our success advisors will get that information right to you. And so make sure you're checking your messenger too, because our success advisors probably have left you messages if you haven't seen them yet. So check your Facebook Messenger, and in there, you can always ask for the workbook there. You can write any questions you might have, and there's probably already a message waiting for you there. And so we're ready to help you, like get all your questions answered. So all the team working here, they've all been clients of ours, and they've worked through this material that has changed their thinking drastically. So they can help you answer your questions as well. So please reach out to them.
That's awesome. So now let's get back to living through the chaos. And it really comes down to this. What are your days fueled by? Faith, or do you fear more? Faith, or do you fear more? It's really interesting because when I think of fear, and what I've always thought fear was, you know, when we were in school as kids and we're shown pictures of different emotions, like happy, sad, scared, afraid. And so when I think of fear, I think about that, right? And when we were kids, we were taught to see fear more like being afraid, jumping into the pool for the first time, right? Being afraid of spiders, watching scary movies, things like that. And fear has also been something that people fall in love with, right? I feel like the feeling of facing their fear. There are people that love facing their fear. There are people who love getting to that point where they're really, really scared, and then they make the jump and it's exhilarating, it's exciting for them. So if you think about a roller coaster, which I cannot stand roller coaster, but they're based on that emotion. They're based on the excitement of being afraid. Being scared and having fun was a thing we did when we were little. And can you imagine if we didn't do the things that scared us? Where would we be? But I think somewhere along the line, we started to take fear a little bit too seriously. And we started to put a lot of weight on it. And we started to think of fear in a very different way. So for me, I became very afraid of what other people would think, right? I was in boardrooms and I had a hard time speaking up. What would they think? I never seemed to have the right ideas. I became afraid of failure. I was afraid of gaining more weight. I was afraid of my health getting worse. I was afraid of aging. People would share things about the world in general in the offices, right? Think of the offices, or I'd watch the newses, and that automatically would set this fear in me. Or I'd say, oh man, thank God that's not me. I guess I could be way worse off. So I better stay right here and be grateful for what I've got and not grow and just be happy with what I have. Think about it. Think about it. How many are doing that? We're kind of been conditioned to do that. I was conditioned to do that. Do you think the child version of us would ever say, gosh, no, right? Would they ever say any of that? Would they ever do that? That would be a nightmare to a child, to stay exactly where they are and to not grow. Well, I guess, but you know what? Guess what? It's a nightmare for us too, but we just don't realize it. I'm sure there's way more examples that I can share with you, but let me ask you this. When did fear go from something that we face and enjoy doing to suddenly something that stops us in our tracks and keeps us exactly where we are? Ask yourself that. When I started to study this closely, I never realized how much of this part, I thought I understood mindset, right? They teach you, human potential, right? Personal development in corporate world, but not to this level. I never realized how much of this was part of mindset. And you're starting to see how much mindset really does control everything in your life. But the beautiful thing is, fear is something that you can change. And yes, you may still experience that fear, but it's going to be something that you can learn how to manage. Because something you understand, something that you can understand will no longer control you. It no longer controls me. And my emotional eating stemmed from negative emotions. My negative emotions were fear, shame, doubt. I felt stuck. I felt like I wasn't enough. All these negative emotions. Now, your negative emotions might be different than these, but understand that it all stems from some sort of form of fear. It all does. It really does. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. And every time I start being totally going to be honest with you, and this may be hard to realize or to hear, but if you are allowing fear to impact you right now, you are making that decision to allow it. You have decided that your fear of the unknown is greater than your desire for success and your desire for more. Would you not agree? And you might think, whoa, hold on there. There's less opportunities right now. There's a lot of pain out there. There's a reason for me to be stressed and not choosing this. But here's the truth. Why is that why are you seeing that? Because there's a lot of good happening right now. There's far more opportunities right now than ever before, because the majority, think about it, 95% of the population are only seeing the bad right now, because the majority are only doing the same things too. Think about it, right? They're all doing the same things. They're all following each other. That's why you see a bulk of people doing the same things. Or the media is steering everybody in the same direction. But trust me when I say, start looking the opposite direction and you will start seeing so much beauty. So I'm going to let Heidi explain this as well. Give her an opportunity to speak as well.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm such a people watcher, and if you just start to notice the conversations that are going around, the majority are so focused on what they don't want, right? Seriously, start to notice it out there. They're all talking about things that they don't want. And all the things that are happening out there, they're all talking about this, and the things that happen to them, not for them, right? They keep speaking more life and energy into the very things that they don't even want. So how many are speaking life into their dreams? Yeah. How many are speaking life into what they overcame to get to the next level of growth in their life? Remember how we spoke about that yesterday? How most of us are focused on what we don't want, right? And the mind gets direction based on what occupies our mind the most, right? So think about it. After buying a car, suddenly you notice everywhere that car is everywhere, right? Because the car is occupying your mind. Where before that, the car wasn't part of your thoughts before you made the decision to buy it. So, because their minds are only focused on what they don't want, it's scientifically impossible for that person to see all the beauty, the opportunities, the abundance, the good, right? Your mind cannot connect to it. And it only will connect to it when you allow for it. So, when you connect to what your mind is focused on, what you want, instead of focusing on the things you don't want, change really starts to take place. So, step one, you must have a strong desire, like a real burning desire, right? For what you want in life. Yesterday, we burned what we don't want, right? So, we know what we don't want, right? So, what we want. And then, step two is that you must learn what fear really is and what Natalie was talking about, right? So that we can manage our fears in a different way. But when you're so afraid, if you let fear keep you where you are, you're then choosing fear over faith, right? You're choosing fear over the potential of like massive success in any area of your life. And that doesn't feel good. And if you don't feel good, what are you going to do? Well, emotionally eat, like we're talking about here, right? Some drink, some become promiscuous, some it's drugs, some turn to their work and become workaholics, and they work all this endless time and they never really get anywhere, right?
And Heidi, like so much potential out there in so many people, and it's all wasted because of fear. I'm not educated enough. I'm not good looking enough. If I looked a certain way, then I could do that. If I had this certain experience, then I would do that. I'm not the right age. I don't have the money. Or how many are saying this world is messed up right now and it's not? Or speaking about how many more people are getting sick. That is all stemming from fear. It's all stopping people from achieving more, right?
You are so right, Natalie. And you know what? It stopped me and so many of us, right? There's nothing about you to fix. No, all you need to do is unlearn the fear. That's the problem. It is the cause of why you are where you are today, right now with your results. You must unlearn the fear and learn faith. And yes, learn faith. You can learn this. But how many are working on the cause of why they feel these negative emotions? Why they feel terrible in the first place? So it's one thing to have fear, but then it's a completely other thing to allow fear to control you and to have it run you. So imagine this world if everyone feared like that, right? What would the world look like? Can you imagine, like in this global pandemic, right? What would the world look like without Zoom, right? Eric Yon, the creator, it's so interesting. He got the idea of Zoom trying to find a way to connect to his long distance girlfriend, right? And in the beginning, as he started his company, he had trouble finding investors because many people were like, this market is saturated. We don't need this. We don't need you. Well, boy, were they wrong, right? In a global pandemic where that is the primary way for kids to learn, workplaces to resume business, family and friends to stay connected. Do you know that I think I just read the other day, he made over 12 billion since just March alone. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly glad he persevered. And so if you think about it, he chose faith. When other people were telling him no, right? He stayed connected. He stayed connected to what he wanted, to his success. He didn't choose fear, right? We assume it's brilliance, but we all have brilliance, right? The brilliance came once they connected to what they really, truly wanted to achieve. And that permitted them to take the necessary steps forward, right? And that permitted them to connect to the very ideas and the people that they needed to make it happen.
That's awesome. So why do people fear? Such a good question, isn't it? So why do people fear? Because people fear, they simply fear because they have a lack of understanding of what fear is. So when you understand fear, you can better manage it. I didn't understand fear. I just thought it's something we have to live with. I thought people that were fearless, they're born fearless. No, not at all. So that's what I want to tell you. So fear, if you really look at fear and what it is a reaction to something, not a response, but a reaction. And you can feel it. When you feel scared, you get the chills. There's something inside of you that kind of lights up that doesn't feel very comfortable, right? You get that nervous feeling in your tummy, the butterflies in your stomach. You feel it. You feel the fear. We know that emotion. We can tell right away. But what we tend to do is that we tend to go, whoa, I'm scared of this. I'm going to stay in my comfort zone because I don't like how this feels. But what you need to do is better understand what that feeling is and where it comes from. So let me give you an example. Bob calls it a terror barrier. Bob talks about the terror barrier as something that we all get to. We all get to a terror barrier in our life. And those who break free of it are the ones who grow and develop and adapt and are far more successful. They're the successful people on this planet and all reach their goals. They don't fail. There's no failure at this level. Failure doesn't even exist, right? Because they understand fear. Whereas those who stop at the terror barrier because they don't understand fear, stay where they are. They think they are staying where they are, but actually they're going backwards. And I think Heidi's got something to
Right? Like no one can stay where they are. Nothing on this planet rests. Everything moves, right? Whether it's forward or backward. And if you don't keep moving forward, you are going to go backwards, right? There's no in between. So have you ever gone like, I don't know, back home, met up with those high school classmates and they're living pretty much the same life, right? I went back to my high school class reunion not too long ago, and all of those people in my class that I thought, they were going to be big success stories, right? I always compared myself back in the day to them, right? Always wished I had more of what they had. Well, so many of them are living the exact same life as if we were still in high school, right? They have all convinced themselves that they're choosing this simple life. But what they don't see is that compared to how much the world around them has evolved, right? You can clearly see how behind they are, you know? And their life is not simple. They didn't stay still. And their life is like, I can see the stress on them and how beaten up they look on the outside, right? Living in unhealthy bodies because they're living a hard life because of their fear for more, and they just don't know it. If you really, really want to utilize fear, you must become afraid of staying exactly where you are right now, because that means you're going backwards.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's another example of terror barrier. This one's actually a really, really good one for a lot of people out there. Let's say you're someone right now that makes 5,000 a month. I'm using money because there's a lot of emotional eaters out there that are stressed about money, okay? And tomorrow I'm going to go in more detail about money and stress around money, and it's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So we're going to go in more detail, but I'm going to use money right now. Because your emotional eating is not about the body. We make it about the body. The health and fitness industry makes it about the body, but I hope you really understand that it runs far deeper than that. So your frequency of vibration is of somebody who makes $5,000 a month. So you're going to attract to you what you need to continue to bring about $5,000 a month in income. You're expecting $5,000 a month, right? You know that you will make $5,000 a month. If you lost this job at $5,000 a month, you could probably, I'd say is pretty guaranteed that you're going to go out and you're going to find another job at least at 5,000, and maybe you're going to step it up a little bit, right? So somebody comes along and they say, I think that you would be really good for this other business. It will give you another stream of income, right? They ask you to consider it. At first you think, well, that kind of sounds like fun. So then this new idea is there is a much higher level. It's up here. It's much higher than what you currently make or expect, right? It's up here. This is where the idea is. So here you are with thinking at $5,000 a month. This new opportunity is up here. And you start thinking about entertaining, right? So you're starting to entertain it up here. So you're like, maybe this could be a good idea. So you start thinking about it up here. And then the nerves come along because remember, your thinking is down here. Your expectation is down here, but you're entertaining in an idea outside of your comfort zone. You've never explored it before. So that idea is at a higher frequency up here that you haven't experienced yet. So what tends to happen is that we go up here to consider it, but then fear starts to set in and we start to second guess, what if this business opportunity doesn't work? What if I'm not good at it? What if I fail? What if I lose money? What if this is a scam? What if people think I'm crazy for starting something like this? Or worse yet, we ask the person that is not even living the life we want to give us their feedback. I used to do it all the time. Okay. I didn't even notice I was doing that. So instead of entertaining an idea up here, I say, no, 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 no. I feel uncomfortable. I don't think it's for me. And so I go back down here and stay here. But what we need to recognize is that when you're entertaining something up here and it's exciting and it could take you up here, growth, Think of the potential. Think of all the areas of your life that thank God you got up here, because you wouldn't even be making the 5,000 a month right now, right? You had to get out of your comfort zone. You needed to crash through the terror barrier, and you need to go up here to make that decision to do it. And I think Heidi is going to add a little bit to that as well.
Yeah, that's so, so true, Natalie. And we must listen to our intuition, but from a place of what you want, right? The life you want, the body you want, right? What about the health you want? Again, what do you really want? I know we might sound like a broken record, but it's so incredibly important. What do you really want? Keep expanding on what it is you really, really want. A connection to what you want is so necessary. And most don't know what they want. Would you ever jump into a car and have no idea where you're going? See, that's what the majority of the population is doing. They don't really know what they want, but they can tell you every detail of everything that is happening to them, all the things that they don't want, right? So here's something I need you to really pay attention to: that curiosity, that initial decision to move forward with something. That is your true self trying to shine through. Did you know that you have two voices going on at war in your head all the time? You have the ego, and then you have the heart, right? The heart gets excited, right? It has dreams for you. It knows what you can do. Your heart sees what you cannot see. And it's always trying to guide you through the unknown towards your destination. And our initial decisions are always the best decisions. Yeah. Because your heart wants it. That's your authentic self. Natalie, can you explain this a little bit more in detail?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love. Um, so like Heidi said, you have an ego and you have the heart. So the ego is like this, right? Eat the chip, just one. And then the heart of you is like, no, that's not what we want. We will talk, right? So we're going to talk more about the inner dialogues tomorrow. But what I need you to, for today, but what happens is that you were brought up with many paradigms that built up your ego. All the stuff people told you, be this, do that, have this, become that. You're not smart enough. You're only successful if you own this. This is what a successful person looks like. You are only attractive if you look like this. Or how often people say you can't do that. That is what I'm talking about, the junk that forms the ego, because you were born with a pure heart. Babies are perfection. But then we're born in an environment and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't fit. We already had a heart that was pulling us towards certain things. And you'll notice with children, they already are going after certain things for a reason. They're already inclined. They already know the purpose and they're already being guided by heart. But what happens is that an ego within you is formed. So now you've got ego and now you've got a heart. You got both of them. So that initial decision, please understand that's your heart. And your ego, that's the voice that's always talking negative. It will always repeat the negative things you hear on the news, always warning you of the worst things that could happen to you, reminding you of the past and the bad. Because as a baby, there's no way you were born that way. You were drawn to possibilities, and think of it when you were a child. When people say, I need more time to think about something, is that really your heart or your ego? The heart needs no time. It knows. That's why the most successful business owners, and I've worked with many of them, make decisions fast. Why? Because they know, their heart knows right away this is the right way. They can tell right away what's ego, what's heart. But most of us are not taught any of this, right? We're taught to live from the ego. And so the ego has more power over us, and it always takes over. And that's why you end up eating the chip. And you're like, why does this thing have such a pull over me? And I'll explain more tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're really going to realize how powerful this is. But today, if I can help you walk away with one important thing that is life-changing for you, it is this. when you feel very uncomfortable with a decision, like you can't stop thinking about it, make the decision and move forward. Because the only reason why you feel very uncomfortable is because your heart is putting up a fight. And I wish I would have known this, because all the comfortable decisions I have made in the past, and when I started studying this and I started looking, backwards and looking at my past and realize, oh my gosh, how many keep making the decisions around their weight loss and health that are safe, right? How many spend very little money in that area because they'll keep it safe. If it doesn't work out, at least I didn't spend too much money. Why do you think you are getting the same results over and over again? Ego is in control. It's safe, it's comfortable. And a comfortable decision, remember, it will not allow you to grow. It will not allow you to expand. It's comfortable. So that means your ego is in control. And if your ego is in control, you are going to stay exactly where you are with the same results. And some people think, oh, no, this will be different. And a few months later, they called me and they're like, okay, yeah, you're right. Nothing's changed. If the heart does not put up a fight inside of you, yes, you will feel comfortable with your decision, but understand that the comfortable decision will not change you, will not make anything happen for you. And that's why you'll see a lot of successful business owners and they're like thriving for this. And you think, God, they're fearless. It's no, because they understand this. They understand that fear that's going through them. They're like, I got to plow through this because I know what's on the other side. But when the heart starts to fight back, the heart knows you need to do this, and it will not feel comfortable for you because the ego and the heart is going at war inside of you. Of course, it's not going to be comfortable. That's why you're like, think about it. You got the voices going off, like one side telling you what to do and the other side not. But I really want to impact your life right now. So think about it. When you feel turmoil inside of you, it's because the heart of you wants you to do it and see something you cannot see. And unless you do it, you will not see what you need to see to understand why the heart was putting up a fight in the first place. So when you hear the quote, go back and look at that quote after you've heard me speak about this. The cave you fear to enter holds your treasure. Now you know what that quote really means. Now you really know what that quote means. The only reason why you feel fear with decisions to help you grow is because your heart is trying to tell you, go there. And once you understand that, when you understand that fear is your biggest blessing, my gosh, and you start following it and start seeing, allowing the heart to guide you through something you cannot see, now that is operating with faith. It's such a beautiful place to be. And I'll let Heidi explain a little bit more on that.
Yeah, this is such great information. I always get goosebumps, right? It's just, it's so good. So what you want to do is you want to entertain the idea from that higher place, right? That higher place of being. That means you have to use your imagination, right? And see yourself as that person you wish to be. And then you have to trust. You have to trust your intuition from your big vision, right? You want to think about it in all the ways that could go right. Notice that word right? Instead of all the ways that could go wrong. Believe me, I learned the hard way. I'm so glad this is the way I think now. Napoleon Hill said, your imagination is the most powerful, most miraculous, inconceivably powerful force that the world has ever known. Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagination is the language of the soul. Pay attention to your imagination and you will discover all you need to be fulfilled, right? The imagination lives inside of you guys, and most are using their imagination against themselves, fearing the worst outcomes. And that's using your imagination against you. So what you want to do is you want to ask yourself these things, right? What if I'm really successful? What if I can live in the body and health that I want? What if people think I'm really good at whatever my passion is? What if they start to follow along and they want to join me? What if I make an impact on the world? Yeah. So, yes, it's going to be scary. Yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but only because it's outside of the current frequency that you're vibrating at. But that's how you grow, right? And if you're not growing, you will feel that pull that's forcing you to retreat on your couch and give up on yourself. And that doesn't feel good, right? Most of us are eating to fill a void. Think about it. What is that void? They're not living the life they truly, truly want. And I was a prisoner of my own thinking, believe me. I felt that the life I had, well, that was it, right? And I convinced myself that I had it far better than most, so what I had hoped for, I should just be happy, right? But we are human. If we're not growing, moving forward, living the life we truly, truly want, we will live with discontent and longing. I've worked with so many people that really complicated this for me, but it's really, really quite simple. I wanted to be more. I wanted to have more. I wanted to do more. But I felt something in me that was stopping me. I was a prisoner of my own thinking. I believed there was no way out, and I was stuck.
Yeah, and so now we're going to talk about faith, right? Let's talk about faith because faith is really important. For me, faith was something that was not, it wasn't something that was in my life prior to being in this material. Well, I guess it was on some level, like I said, but I didn't know about having faith in a lot of things in life. When I used to think about faith, I would think in terms of a person's religious belief, right? And I lacked spirituality in my life. And I remember I'd hear this material, this very material, and understand that that's why a lot of people turn their backs on this material. Because I made assumptions that this was some sort of religious thing, right? And it's not. It's not at all. This is personal development. And we all know we need personal development, that we all need growth, right? But see, I used to think that that's what this was. So I turned my back on it. What I'm talking about here, though, is about having faith in this knowing of something, believing in something you cannot see. How hard is it for people to believe in something, to breathe life into something they cannot see? Right? It's hard to speak from a place of, I'm about to achieve great, great success and speak to everybody about it when you haven't achieved it yet. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you haven't seen it, because we're taught to do that, but that's not how things are done. So I would say that if you are fearing the possibility of something that you cannot see, you have faith in a fear, and you're using faith against you. How many keep saying that their intuition is telling them not to do things, not to go there, stay where you are? Really, is that intuition or fear that has control over your mind? Ask yourself, did that person place their faith in fear? Would you not agree that this person is using faith against themselves? So what you want to do is you only want to have faith in things you want to see happen. Again, what do you want? It is so very important that you go to a place of faith. So what is faith? One, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So why would you have faith in a possible negative outcome? Right? In a possible outcome that you don't want. Why would we want to do that? Because sometimes we worry, don't we? We worry that we're going to get sick. We worry about our kids. We worry that we're going to gain some weight. We worry about failing. We worry about losing out, right? If we don't buy that stock, what if it goes up? And right, so we're following people, and so we then create this faith that those things are going to happen. And I love this quote. It's from Napoleon Hill. To worry is to pray for what you don't want. And you're going to make decisions from a place of what you don't want, and therefore get what you don't want. Write this somewhere. It's so important. I love this quote from Napoleon Hill. He started the personal development industry, by the way, with his book, Think and Grow Rich. So very, very powerful. And he wrote, to worry is to pray for what you do not want. So what you want to do is you want to create faith in the things that you want to see, the things that you want in your life. We have faith in so many things, right? Like I have faith that if I order from Amazon, I know that these items are going to arrive at my house. I have faith that if I were to get on a call on a phone right now and call an Uber, they're going to take me wherever I want to go. I have faith in that. I have faith that gravity works. And that I'm going to float, and I'm not going to float up in the sky. We have faith in a lot of things that we cannot see, right? We have faith in a lot of things that we know for sure will happen. But we need to live by faith when it comes to the things we want in life. Because faith is an absolute knowing. Faith is this belief that you have the power to do all things. Do you have faith that you have the power to do all things? Because that's a really great question.
It really, truly is. And, I know without a shadow of a doubt that the universe always has my back. Truly. I know as crazy as a time as 2020 has been, I have faith that it's going to get better. There is an end, right? I have faith that we as a human race will grow and learn from this and we'll be better humans, right? I have learned that just when you think there may not be any faith around, it's just time to put on new lenses in your glasses. Maybe because yours have gotten fogged, blurred, or even scratched, right? But there is always, always, always good. And sometimes you have to take a moment to look in a different place or from a different angle, right? So what do you currently have faith in? What are things that you know will happen? I would love for you to comment and share with us so we can all be a part of it. What do you currently have faith in? Write it down, yeah? So faith is when you believe something is inevitable, right? When you expect a certain result, yeah? Your body moves towards that, your action, your behavior. It's very different if you believe something is going to happen. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have faith that you can earn a certain income or that you can achieve the health and body you want, that you can make an impact on the world, then you're not going to move your body too fast, are you? You're not going to really do what needs to be done to create that success. You're not. Why would you, right? You don't believe it's possible.
So all you need to do is work on your faith. You don't need to change. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to be different. You just need to believe that you can achieve it, that you can have it, that it's within you, because it is. And to make this happen, for me, I needed a program to teach me how. Because I grew up in an environment that taught me more about fear than faith. And that's most environments. I needed to unlearn that. I had to unlearn and relearn. And that is why Alvin Toffler meant with this quote, and he's an amazing philosopher, the illiterates, and think about right now. When I read this quote, please think about the situation that's going on right now and how many people are going back to school, how it's not going to help them, right? The illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write. It will be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. That's all mindset that he's speaking about. He's not telling you to go back to school, because what you're going to learn in school is what happened before this virus and chaos. It's not going to teach you what is about to happen after this. But when you are able to shift your mindset, you are going to be able, think about it. Personal growth is all about climbing that mountain, climbing the mountain of awareness, seeing things from a higher perspective. And when you can see things from a much higher perspective, that is power. How do you not find the $1 million ideas from that place, right? I'm going to tell you, every single person watching this right now, that you have everything within you right now, as the person you are right now, to create everything you want in life. Everything. It's all in what you think about. It's all in using your mind to create what you want. So when I look back at the decision to invest in myself and to start studying in this material, studying my mind, and continue to, anybody that knows me, is I have no problem dropping 30,000 in 1 month and spending on the top mindset gurus around the world, because that allows me to upgrade my models and to make them even more powerful. But when I think back about the initial decision I made, because the initial one was a scary one, right? Because I had never done this before. I put way too much pressure on it. If I had known what this was going to create for me, the fact that I more than quadrupled my income in the worst, apparently the worst year ever, right? That I'm living with the love of my life, and everything in my life is so dramatically different. My health, I'm in a 20-year-old body. I can go on. I'm over 40. Anything I want, I make happen. And you can too. There's nothing special, more special about me than anybody else. We're all united. We're all at the same level. We're all here to serve. We all have gifts. So what about you, Heidi?
Yes, it would have been the easiest decision of my life. I wish I would have done it sooner, really, truly. But what I didn't know at the time was that I create my future, right? It's all inside here. It's me, right? With my thinking. I create my success. I decide what happens, right? Before I used to feel that like these decisions were someone else's, like I was just being taken for a ride. I felt that my future was going to be what it was going to be, right? I felt like I didn't have control. So naturally it became that way because that's where my thoughts were, right? Should I invest in me or shouldn't I? That became the question. And when I can tell you from my experience looking backwards that if you're asking, should I or shouldn't I? The answer is always should, right? I remember a mentor of mine, she said to me, she goes, "Who are you not to?" So there is never a shouldn't, right? It should always be yes. And why? Because the more I say yes when I feel that fear inside of me, the more that my life changes so dramatically. And boy, does it really. And the more I change my life, the more I change the lives of the people around me. And the more energy I express, and the more energy, the more I receive, right? And it's just phenomenal.
That's awesome. So do I still, I get the question, do I still hit that terror barrier? And do I still face fears? Because people will see me as fearless now, whereas before they used to see me as, it's called a scary cat. Most of the time they would call me the scary cat, but because I feared absolutely everything. And absolutely I do. When it's something that challenges me, when it's something that pulls me into a bigger dimension of myself that I've never been in, right? But of course I'm going to feel it. But I have learned how to make a decision from faith instead of the decision from fear. There's the power. Like I said, most successful people out there now, they know that when they get that fear, they know to plow through it. They know there's a gift, there's a treasure there. Their heart is putting up a fight. They know that there's something here that they're about to discover. And there's a thrill to that. And that's my thrill now because of this understanding. My talk, on Friday, we're going to talk about decisions. And because I have learned how to make decisions from faith instead of decision from fear. So I'm going to talk more about decisions and my talk on decision is probably my most powerful topic. That and my money one on tomorrow. Those are my most powerful topics. So think about procrastination. What do you think that really is? We all know what we need to do to be successful, but we don't do it. Why? Likely fear. It's likely a fear in there. Your actions are controlled by how you feel. Negative or positive. If you feel fear, worry, doubt, that's negative. Therefore, your actions will be negative. Your results are guaranteed to be negative. If you are operating on a positive frequency, so feeling, when I say frequency, I mean feeling, okay? So your actions will be positive. Therefore, your results are guaranteed to be positive. This is science. Actually, in electricity, any electrician will tell you don't put a negative with a positive. You're not going to get what you want. Well, it's the same thing here. So now I want you to think about what your life would be like if you were fearless. If you were fearless, wow, fearless. I like that. What would you do if you weren't scared? Put it in the comments. I want to see. What would you do, Heidi, if you were fearless? And I'll let you wrap this up for today since we're getting at the end here.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Gosh, what would I do? You know, I love to travel, but I would really want to like really travel. Like use my current home as just a base. And when I travel, I would immerse myself in other cultures and like really feel like what it feels like to be there and to live there, not just as a tourist. So I fear that a little bit because, you know, that would mean that I'm really, really super successful in my career and in my business, that I'd be able to do those things, right? Is there something, like Natalie said, is there something that you fear that you haven't been doing because you were too scared? Comment, put it down below. We want to see. We want to see. That makes it fun, right? What would you do? Okay, so to wrap things up here. So tomorrow we're going to chat about food freedom and self-love. And you know, Natalie and I are just so incredibly passionate about this work. It truly is our mission to help change lives. These are all things I wish my former self would have known, but now we get to share them with you guys. So, what would it feel like if food no longer controlled you? How would it feel? How could you look in the mirror and see the perfection that lives inside of you? Because it does, right? I love that you joined me and Natalie here today. I just want to go over a couple quick reminders. Reminder that we do have a couple bonus sessions today. Live Your Best Love Life is with Kevin at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here in this group. And I'm Not My Disease with Sasha and Zoe at 4 p.m. today as well. So please, please, please don't forget about your homework and your workbook, right? This is where the true magic happens, guys. So the last question in your homework for today's lesson is, what would you do differently if you were fearless? So it's kind of like what we're asking you to comment on, but I want you to make it a little bit more fun. I want you to find a GIF that best represents what you would do and post it underneath the homework reminder post that'll be going out after this live. And post what that GIF would be and just like write a little description. Let's have fun with it. Anything else that you need to add, Natalie?
I'm good. Awesome. This was
Awesome.
amazing.
Great. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.
Bye.